Have you ever tried to draw a dog but it didn't really look quite right? Well, don't worry, because today I'm going to show you how to draw 7 different dog breeds in different positions so you can draw any dog that you want. To start, let's do a basic Labrador from the side so we can understand the proportions when the dog is standing. And usually in this position, you always start with a rectangle for the body and 2 circles with a space between, like this. Then from the left circle, you can draw these diagonal lines for the neck and another circle for the head. From here, we can start shaping the dog a little bit. So the legs are going to be basically the same height as the height of our initial rectangle. And the back leg bends towards the back, so it's kind of like the opposite of a human leg. And sometimes it's easier if you draw a little circle where the joints and the paws are supposed to be before you draw the legs. To be honest, the trick to draw anything is to start with geometrical shapes first. You basically position each part of the dog on paper with geometrical shapes, and then you add the details and turn it into a dog. And the facial details are some of the things that can change a lot in different dog breeds. So in this one, the eyes are sideways, so basically it's the letter V turned towards the left of the page with a curve where the eyeball is, and the ear is like an upside down heart shape like this, where the side closest to the face is a little bit longer. This is basically the structure of a lab, and here I'm just adding a little hatching to add some shadows a little bit just under the ears, on the bottom side of the tail. And yes, I sometimes use the little eraser in the back of my pencil. Okay, nobody's perfect, so don't judge me. Now let's move on to the next dog. This one is a Greyhound sitting down. I think these dogs are so funny and they have like a very different structure than labs. So to draw them sitting down, you start with a big oval shape tilted to one side like this. You can turn the bottom of this oval shape into almost like a triangle, and then add this horizontal oval shape right below. That's going to be the leg that's on the floor. For the front legs, again, I always start with the circles for the joints and the paws, so we know where everything's supposed to be, and then I connect them with the lines to turn them into legs. Also, this dog has a much longer neck if you compare it to the lab, and for the head you can do a circle and this oval shape that makes it look like a duck, but not for long. Don't give up yet. The ears are also different because they are lifted like this, so just draw a little triangle for now and then we'll turn it into an ear in a little bit. Now that we have our main structure, we can enforce the contour lines. For the face, as you can see, the nose is a little longer and more like pointed than the lab, and the eyes are closer to the top of the head, so it's like the forehead is like shorter. And for the back legs, they are folded in this sitting down position, so you basically draw the knees bended and then the rest of the leg is horizontal at the bottom. And we can see the other leg in the same position in the back, a little bit higher up. You can also shade a little bit on the sides of the front legs and the bottom like this where the belly is, also underneath the ears and the back of the neck. And this is how you draw a Greyhound. Now let's do a Beagle. I love Beagles so much, and the position of this one's gonna be like facing front but with the back of the body on an angle so we can still see it. So same as the first one, we're gonna start with a rectangle and 2 circles, but the circle on the right is gonna be bigger because it's closer to us, so we're gonna create an effect where the back of the body is farther from us, like the viewer. And don't worry, this is gonna make sense in a minute. And we can do another smaller circle on top of the circle on the right, and this is gonna be the head. You can also start sketching the legs, and in this position we have 2 front legs coming down straight and the back leg is kind of stretched out towards the back like this. Again, the easiest way to not mess these proportions is to mark the joint spots first, and you can do that by looking at a picture of a dog or even just looking at my drawing here until you build more visual memory so you can draw this from imagination. But there's no shame in using reference pictures, especially if you're just learning how to draw something new. Now for the head, we're gonna have a smaller circle that's gonna be the nose and mouth area, and the mouth of Beagles is basically 2 upside down shapes, kind of like the letter U coming down from the little circle of the nose. And for the ears, it's basically 2 triangles like this with curved edges. From here we can do some stronger lines to define our sketch a little better, and if you're working with a 2-color fur, you can hatch a little where the darkest color is to create this second color effect. And this is how you draw a Beagle. By the way, this might be a good time for you to like this video if you're liking this video, video. But moving on, we're gonna change things up a little bit and do a small furry dog. I think this is a furry version of a Chihuahua. I don't know much about dog breeds, guys, but I think this is what it is, okay? And this one, we can start with an oval shape and then 2 circles on top of each other on the front side of the dog like this. And for small dogs, usually the legs are much shorter in comparison with the body. Like the ratio between leg height and body height is like, it's like shorter legs. So you can just draw short lines like this where you want the legs to be. And for the face, we can do that small circle for the nose and mouth area. The eyes of Chihuahuas are a little bit farther apart. This is very characteristic of this breed, especially if we compare it to the Beagle, which is the only dog that we have facing front so far. And on the top edge of this circle, we have the nose. His ears are also different because instead of being relaxed down like the Beagle, the ears are standing up like this. And to create the fur effect, you can just hatch these short lines over and over, coming from the eye area out in all directions. And the fur is a little messy, so it's okay if you do this kind of randomly, as long as the lines are moving out. So it's coming like from the center of the face out, like this. You can also leave a space with less lines at this front side, like right above the chest and below the head, to create a little bit of perspective and so that the body looks like it's further back. And you can also do some random darker spots with the short lines to create more of a texture on the fur. This also makes it look more natural, and it's also nice if you make a little shadow on one side of the legs. So here I did the left side, and this is our cute furry Chihuahua. I thought this one was super cute. Next, I thought we could practice curly fur, which is a little bit different. So we're going to do a poodle. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. It's a poodle. Puddle? Anyway, you get what I mean. This one is one of those tall poodles. It's sitting down. So we're gonna start with a circle for the head, 2 lines for the neck right below, and around the tall rectangle like this for the body. I'm also drawing 2 oval shapes for what would be like the shoulders. I don't know if I can call these shoulders, but it's like where the top of the legs start basically. And another circle with a horizontal oval shape to be the folded back leg. Kind of like we did the Greyhound, but for this one, you don't really need to worry too much about the shape because the fur is gonna kind of cover it all, and we're not really gonna see the contour of the dog, so you can be more flex with your lines. You basically just need a simple outline for the body, and the face on this one is tilted on an angle. So we have the nose on the top left corner of this almost rectangle shape thing that comes out from the circle, and the eyes are positioned along this horizontal line. The ears are basically the letter U, and they're gonna be puffy and furry, so you can really make it round like this. Now, to make it look like a poodle, we can do this short, weird, like curvy lines. It's almost like spirals, but you're being more random than just drawing spirals. You're drawing little curves in all directions, and you can do more of this pattern where you want to create a shadow. So like where you want it to be darker, you do more lines, and less lines where you want it to be lighter. So in between the legs, for example, and under the head and under the ears, you can make it darker. You can also do a little hatching at the front of the nose, like in the mouth area, just to create some depth. And now we just keep creating the fur pattern like this. You can also make it a lot darker on the belly, like underneath the dog where there's less light coming in. This pattern is kind of repetitive, but after you do it a little bit, it gets so satisfying to see the drawing developing. And this is our poodle. I think it's really cute, and actually I think this one is my favorite so far. But anyways, for the next one, I thought we could do another very different one, and we're gonna do a bulldog because bulldogs have a super unique face, very different from the other ones. So to start, this one is kind of in a weird sitting position, which honestly to me, this kind of represents the clumsy nature of bulldogs. So you want to start with a circle for the head, and then a few more circles and round lines for the front of the body and the back like this. This specific dog here has its head tilted, so we are drawing 2 lines to mark the symmetry of the face, and the eyes are always in the horizontal line like this. The nose area is similar to the Beagle because you see that the sides of the mouth kind of fall a little lower. Like if you look at the Chihuahua, the mouth is in place, if that makes sense. Like there's no like skin hanging down, but with bulldogs it's like there's all this skin falling, you know what I mean? And the ears are more similar to the Greyhound ears because they are flexed up and then folded at the tip like this. For the legs, again, you can always start with the joints. They're gonna be on the edges of this big circle that we have at the front of the chest. And after you have little circles for the joints and the legs, you can connect the lines. And as you can see, this is a chunky dog, so the legs are like way further apart when we compare it to the other dogs, because like the bone structure on this one is just naturally larger. And now that we have the basic structure, we can outline the drawing and define the details a little more. The most characteristic thing of bulldogs are these wrinkles. Can I call them wrinkles? I don't know, but like it's like this cute rolls all over the face and body. And you can do this by just drawing some lines like this, and around the eyes you want to make sure it creates this shape, like it's almost like it's melting. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's kind of what it looks like to me. So the wrinkles around the eyes are higher on the insides of the eyes, and then they're lower on the outsides of the eyes. I don't know, does that make any sense? Like, look at what I'm doing and pause to copy if this pattern is weird and confusing to you. It is kind of weird. I'm literally copying from a picture because like it's just hard to come up with this by yourself. There's also some rolls or wrinkles on the shoulders like this, and now you can hatch a little bit to create some depth. So we want to make the back side of the body a bit darker in the belly area as well, because it's like below the dog, and you can create a smooth shadow where the wrinkles are so they look a little bit more natural. And just notice this detail in the eye that's different than the other dogs. There's an extra line below the eyes. Again, like it makes it look like the skin is melting, like it's like gravity is pulling the skin down, and this is super characteristic of this kind of dog. And to wrap this tutorial up, we're gonna do a German Shepherd because I think they have some pretty unique facial features as well that I haven't showed you guys yet. So again, you start with the basic geometrical shapes depending on the position of the dog. In this case, we're doing a rectangle for the body and an oval shape for the head and neck area, smaller oval shapes for the top of the back legs. And for the face, you'll notice that with this breed, we have smaller and closer together eyes, so everything in the face is more concentrated in the middle like this. I like to start with the guidelines to mark the height of the eyes and where the nose and mouth area will be like this. And one thing that's super characteristic of these dogs are these dark lines in between the eyes like this, and we're gonna intensify that darkness in a little bit when we shade, but for now just add the basic facial lines. And the ears are also pretty different too, because they're almost like on top of the head standing up. It kind of reminds me of a wolf a little bit, so the space between the ears is much smaller on the top of the head when we compare to the other dogs. And now we can add some fur details. So with this dog, we don't really see the neck basically because there's a lot of fur in this area, and we can do kind of like we did with the Chihuahua with the short lines. Just make sure that the back of the dog is darker like this to create the black fur, super characteristic of German Shepherds as well. You can also make it darker in between the back legs, below the chest area. And for the face, you want to make the area around the eyes super dark like this. And now that I'm looking in the footage, it kind of looks cross-eyed, so make sure that your German Shepherd doesn't look cross-eyed. And this is the basic sketch for German Shepherds. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and it helped you with drawing dogs. Now stay tuned for next week where we're gonna do a realistic version of a dog using pen and ink. So comment below what dog breed would you like to see in a more realistic and detailed version. And also don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye!